My brothers and sisters, let me speak to you from a place of truth that echoes beyond what your eyes can see. You are not random. You are not forgotten. You are not another name in the crowd of faces trying to survive. You are marked by God for impact. I'm not here to entertain your emotions. I'm here to awaken your spirit, to stir the fire buried beneath your fatigue, and to remind you that when heaven places its signature on your life, darkness is forced to respond. Let me ask you something. Have you ever questioned why the pressure feels so intense? Why every step forward feels like resistance meets you halfway? Why your progress seems to trigger tension in places you never expected? Why conversations change when you walk into the room? Why people who once supported you now seem distant, guarded, or uncomfortable? It's not because you lost your value. It's because you are stepping into it. It's not because you are weak. It's because you carry weight in the spirit. When God places his hand on your life, he does not do it quietly. He does it with authority, with intention, with a presence that disrupts what was once comfortable. And when that anointing begins to rise in you, there will be evidence. Have you noticed how familiar spaces no longer feel the same? How certain relationships feel strained as you grow? The messages slow down. The invitations fade. The energy shifts. You walk into rooms and feel resistance you can't explain. You are not imagining it. Something is changing. But hear this clearly. Distance is not destruction. It is direction. When God sets you apart, he also begins to set you up. And not everyone will understand what he is doing in you. The same people who once applauded your beginnings may struggle with your becoming. The same voices that once encouraged you may question your growth. But don't confuse isolation with failure. Don't shrink yourself to stay familiar to people who can't follow you forward. Don't mourn doors that close when God is preparing a new entrance for you. Sometimes God removes access to certain people so he can grant you access to your purpose. And it doesn't always feel holy. It feels heavy. It feels lonely. It feels confusing. It feels like you're being misunderstood for no reason. It feels like you're losing ground when you're actually gaining alignment. But what if the discomfort you feel is not rejection at all? What if the resistance you face is not a setback, but a signal that your assignment is activating? What if the disconnection you felt wasn't rejection at all? What if the silence around you wasn't abandonment, but alignment? What if God wasn't pushing you away from people, but pulling you closer to purpose? You asked for growth. You prayed for elevation. You cried out for more influence, more clarity, more impact, but nobody told you this part. Before God enlarges your reach, he reduces your circle. Before he increases your platform, he narrows your path. Because not everyone is equipped to walk where you're being led. Not every voice is safe for the season you're entering. Not every relationship can handle the weight of the oil on your life. So God begins to separate, not because he is cruel, but because he is careful. There are rooms your future can't survive in. There are conversations that will poison your courage. There are familiar comforts that will quietly kill your calling. You thought the doors closing meant you failed. Heaven saw it as protection. You thought people drifting meant you were losing favor. God say, W it as making room. Because the version of you that carries purpose cannot be formed in constant noise. Destiny is developed in stillness. Calling is clarified in quiet. There are levels of obedience that cannot be learned in crowds. There are depths of faith that cannot be accessed when everyone has access to you. So God draws you into hidden places, not to punish you, but to prepare you. The wilderness isn't where you're forgotten, it's where you're forged. It's where God strips you of borrowed confidence so he can build unshakable conviction. It's where he removes the need for applause so you can learn to move by obedience. Look at the pattern. Those who carried weight were shaped in lonely places. David learned how to fight when no one was watching. Moses learned how to listen when no one was applauding. Joseph learned how to lead when no one believed him. Even Jesus withdrew before he was revealed. The isolation wasn't the end of their story. It was the foundation of it. And if you're feeling cut off, overlooked, or misunderstood, it doesn't mean you miss God. It may mean you're close to him. It may mean he's training your discernment. It may mean he's teaching you to hear his voice without the echo of everyone else's opinions. There are prayers you've been asking God to answer that require distance before they require doors. You ask for clarity, but clarity grows in quiet. You ask for strength, but strength is built in resistance. You ask for purpose, but purpose is discovered when distractions are removed. So when people fall away, don't chase them. When invitations stop, don't beg for them. When rooms feel smaller, don't force your way back in. God is not shrinking your life. He's refining your focus. He's creating space for what's next. He's closing the circle so he can open the calling. It may feel personal, but it's purposeful. It may feel painful, but it's precise. God knows what cannot go with you where you're headed. He knows which attachments will slow you down. He knows which familiar voices will keep you small. So he gently and sometimes suddenly begins to prune. Not everything that leaves your life is a loss. Some things are released so you can rise. Some relationships end so your resolve can begin. Some seasons close so a new assignment can open. You don't need everyone to understand you. You need God to prepare you. Stop trying to drag people into a destiny they weren't designed to carry. Stop reopening doors God closed for your safety. When God separates you, it's because he's shaping you. When he shapes you, it's because he's sending you. The isolation you're feeling is not empty. It's intentional. The quiet you're experiencing is not punishment. It's preparation. You are being set apart because you are being set up. And the place that feels lonely right now is the place where leaders are trained, where warriors are strengthened, and where purpose is clarified before it is revealed. Have you ever noticed how certain things disturb you that don't seem to bother anyone else? How situations that others can easily scroll past, laugh off, or ignore sit heavy on your heart? You walk into a room and sense tension before anyone speaks. You hear a story and feel a weight that others don't carry. You see injustice, pain, compromise, and it stirs something deep inside of you. That's not weakness. That's awareness. That's not sensitivity. That's assignment. God does not burden people randomly. He burdens people intentionally. The things that move your heart are often the clues to the calling on your life. You were never meant to be numb to what breaks heaven's heart. While others are entertained, you're unsettled. While others are distracted, you're disturbed. While others are comfortable, you're convicted. And sometimes that makes you feel out of place. You wonder why you can't just enjoy what everyone else enjoys. Why certain conversations leave you uneasy. Why certain environments drain your spirit. Why certain behaviors that are normalized around you feel wrong in your soul. It's because you were not designed to blend in with broken systems. You were designed to confront them. God places a holy dissatisfaction inside of you so you won't settle for what everyone else accepts. This burden can feel heavy. It can feel isolating. You try to explain what you're feeling, but people tell you that you were overthinking, being dramatic, or taking things too seriously. But the weight you feel isn't imaginary. It's prophetic. It's the sign that God has tuned your heart to hear what others are too busy to notice. He's given you eyes to see beneath the surface. He's given you ears to hear what's unspoken. He's given you a spirit that cannot be comfortable where truth is compromised. And here's the part that hurts. The very people around you may resist what burdens you. When you speak up, you're called intense. When you stand firm, you're labeled difficult. When you refuse to go along with what feels wrong, you're accused of being judgmental. But obedience has never been popular. Conviction has never been convenient. Those who are called to shift atmospheres are rarely applauded by the atmosphere they're sent to change. You weren't burdened to fit in. You were burdened to stand out. The weight you carry is not meant to crush you. It's meant to guide you. It's pointing you toward your assignment. What angers you may reveal what you're meant to confront. What breaks your heart may reveal what you're meant to heal. What disturbs your peace may reveal what you're meant to bring peace to. God allows you to feel the ache of what's wrong so you'll have the courage to become part of what's right. But be careful. There's a difference between carrying a burden and carrying bitterness. A burden from God leads you to prayer, not pride. It pushes you to compassion, not condemnation. It moves you to action, not arrogance. The moment your burden turns into superiority, you've missed the heart of the assignment. You're not burdened because you're better. You're burdened because you're responsible. Responsibility doesn't elevate you above people. It positions you to serve them. So when you feel that holy discomfort rising, don't silence it. Sit with it. Ask God what he's showing you. Ask him where he's sending you. Ask him what role you're meant to play. Not every burden is yours to fix alone, but every burden is yours to steward faithfully. God trusted you with sensitivity because he also trusted you with strength. He trusted you with vision because he also trusted you with courage. If you've been feeling the weight of what others ignore, it's because you were designed to notice what others numb themselves to. You were created to care when others are careless. You were formed to carry what others drop. And the burden you carry today is the blueprint for the impact you'll make tomorrow. Have you ever wondered why progress feels like pressure? Why every time you decide to move forward, something seems to push back? You set your heart on growth, and suddenly obstacles rise. You commit to change, and resistance intensifies. You step into purpose, and opposition appears, its company. Infusing when you're doing the right thing, but facing the hardest battles. You expect clarity, but you encounter conflict. You expect peace, but you feel pressure. But what if the resistance isn't a sign you're on the wrong path? What if it's confirmation that you're finally on the right one? Resistance reveals relevance. Opposition exposes impact. Not every closed door is the enemy, but every meaningful assignment will attract resistance. Easy paths rarely lead to transformation. Smooth journeys rarely produce strength. The presence of pressure doesn't mean God has abandoned you. It often means your movement matters. Darkness doesn't fight what isn't a threat. Disruption doesn't show up where nothing is changing. The moment you start shifting patterns, breaking cycles, and refusing to stay small, friction increases. The resistance is responding to the potential you carry. You feel it in subtle ways. Delays that make no sense. Distractions that appear out of nowhere. Fatigue that hits right when you're gaining momentum. Doubt that whispers when you finally decided to believe. Voices that question you when you've finally chosen courage. The timing is never random. The resistance strategic. It shows up when you're closest to breakthrough, when you're most focused, when you're finally moving in alignment with what you were created to do. But here's the trap. Resistance can convince you to retreat if you misread it. You start asking, why is this so hard? And assume difficulty means disapproval. You begin to think God is saying no when he's actually inviting you to grow. Resistance is not rejection, it's resistance. Pressure is not punishment, it's preparation. The weight you're feeling is building the strength you'll need for what's next. God doesn't remove every obstacle. Sometimes he uses the obstacle to develop the muscle you'll need to carry the assignment. Think about it. Nothing grows without resistance. Muscles strengthen against weight. Faith matures against doubt. Courage forms in confrontation. Character is shaped under pressure. If everything in your life is easy, you're likely staying in familiar territory. Growth lives beyond comfort. Expansion exists beyond ease. The very things that feel heavy are often the tools God is using to make you strong enough for the future He's calling you into. There's also a spiritual awareness to this resistance. When you decide to break a pattern that has held your family for generations, resistance increases. When you choose discipline over distraction, resistance rises. When you commit to integrity in a compromised environment, resistance intensifies. That's because you're disrupting something that benefited from your silence and your smallness. You're stepping out of alignment with what was comfortable and into alignment with what is right. That shift always creates friction. But don't confuse friction with failure. Friction means movement. If there's no friction, you're not moving. If there's no resistance, you're not advancing. The pushback you're experiencing is not there to stop you. It's there to strengthen your resolve. It's there to clarify your commitment. It's there to expose whether you're moving out of convenience or conviction. So the next time resistance rises, don't retreat. Reassess your posture. Are you standing firm in what you know is right? Are you moving with intention instead of impulse? Are you leaning into prayer instead of panic? Resistance is an invitation to deepen your roots, strengthen your stance, and refine your focus. You weren't meant to walk an uncontested path. You were designed to carry something that challenges the status quo. And the resistance following your steps is not a warning sign to stop. It's a signal that your steps are making an impact. You are not being blocked. You are being built. Have you ever had something stable suddenly shift? A relationship change without explanation. A door you thought was secure quietly close. A place you felt comfortable in begin to feel unfamiliar. One moment everything feels normal, and the next you're standing in front of a closed door you didn't see coming. There was no warning, no argument, no clear reason, just distance where there used to be closeness, silence where there used to be connection. It leaves you confused, replaying conversations, searching for what you did wrong. But what if the door didn't close because you failed? What if it closed because you finished that chapter? We like predictable transitions. We want closure, explanations, and smooth endings. But purpose doesn't always move politely. Sometimes God closes doors suddenly because if He gave you time to prepare emotionally, you talk yourself out of obedience. You negotiate with comfort. You delay your growth. WTH. So the door shuts without warning, not to hurt you, but to move you. Some exits are abrupt because lingering would weaken your resolve. Some seasons end quietly because loud endings would keep you attached. The hardest doors to lose are the familiar ones. Not because they were perfect, but because they were known. Familiarity feels safe, even when it limits you. You know the routines, you know the patterns, you know how to survive there. But survival is not the same as growth. God does not call you to simply survive environments that shrink your potential. He calls you to step into spaces that stretch your faith. When familiar doors close, it feels like loss, but often it's release. There are connections that serve the purpose in one season, but cannot carry you into the next. There are spaces that nurtured you at one level, but cannot sustain you at another. Growth changes what fits. Expansion changes what's comfortable. And when you outgrow a door, it doesn't always swing open with a goodbye. Sometimes it closes so you won't keep going back to what you've outgrown. The pain of closed doors can tempt you to chase closure instead of calling. You want answers, you want apologies, you want explanations that make the ending feel fair. But not every ending comes with clarity. Some endings come with obedience, Some doors close without explanation because the explanation would distract you from the next assignment. You don't need to understand every ending to step into every beginning. There's also protection in sudden closures. God sees what you don't. He knows what will drain you later. He knows what will delay you if it stays open. He knows which environments will eventually compromise your values, your peace, or your progress. So he closes doors you would have stayed in too long. He removes access to spaces that no longer align with who you're becoming. What feels like rejection may actually be redirection. What feels like loss may be alignment. But here's the challenge. When doors close, your identity can feel shaken. You attached meaning to that place. You attached worth to that connection. You tied stability to that door staying open. So when it shuts, you feel displaced. You feel unanchored. You feel unsure of where you belong. But your identity was never meant to be anchored to a door. Doors are temporary. Your calling is not. Places change. Purpose aims. Don't measure your worth by who walks away or which doors shut behind you. Measure your direction by who God is leading you to become. Closed doors don't erase your value. They refine your path. They remove what no longer matches your assignment. They clear space for doors you would have missed if you stayed comfortable. If a familiar door closed without warning, don't rush to force it back open. Pause, pray, ask what this ending is making room for. Sometimes God closes a door not because what was behind it was wrong, but because what's ahead requires you to move. You don't need every door to remain open to move forward. You only need the courage to walk when one closes. Have you ever noticed how some things just stop feeling right? Places you once loved feel small. Routines you once enjoyed feel stale. People who once inspired you now drain you. Comfort zones that used to cradle you suddenly feel like cages. And it scares you because comfort feels safe. Change feels risky. But what if God is not trying to take from you, but to expand you? What if the discomfort you feel is the exact signal that you're ready for more? Growth has a way of outgrowing comfort. You can't climb high, while staying in the same space. You can't operate at a new level while anchored to old habits. Comfort is not meant to be permanent. It's meant to support you until purpose calls. And purpose rarely calls from familiar territory. Purpose calls from the edge, the unknown, the spaces that stretch you. That's why you start noticing a subtle restlessness, a whisper in your spirit that says, this isn't enough. It's easy to resist. Your mind clings to what's safe. Your emotions beg for the familiar. You remember the times it protected you, provided for you, and kept you steady. But purpose doesn't ask permission. It doesn't negotiate with sentimentality. And here's the key. Discomfort is not a mistake. Feeling stretched, uneasy, or restless is actually an invitation. God is prompting you to step beyond what you've known, to stretch into what you were created for. Outgrowing comfort can feel lonely. Not everyone understands why you leave. Not everyone can see the vision that's forming inside you. Some relationships that once fit your life perfectly may now feel heavy or misaligned. Some opportunities that once seemed ideal may no longer serve your destiny. That's normal. Growth is selective. It chooses what aligns with your next level. And sometimes the process requires you to leave people, places, and patterns behind, not out of malice, but for alignment. Here's the truth. When you outgrow old comforts, God doesn't leave you empty-handed. He positions you for new strength, new connections, and new platforms. You are not losing, you are preparing. You are not shrinking, you are expanding. What feels like an ending is really a pivot. The space you leave behind is not wasted. It is being transformed into soil for your next season The challenge is patience. We want instant clarity. We want visible doors, immediate transitions, and quick results. But spiritual growth is not rushed. It is cultivated. It is built in seasons of tension, quiet, and preparation. You may feel stuck, unsure, or restless. And that is exactly the place where transformation takes root. Old comforts fade so that new levels of responsibility, creativity, and influence can emerge. Sometimes outgrowing comfort involves confrontation with yourself, with circumstances, with limiting beliefs. You start saying no to what once felt easy. You start prioritizing what once felt risky. You start moving in directions that feel unknown but deeply necessary. And the beauty is this: God equips you in the process. You are not asked to leap blindly. You are strengthened for each step, prepared for each challenge, and reminded that He walks before you, beside you, and behind you. Here's a secret. Most people don't realize outgrowing comfort is a sign of destiny. It means your spirit is awakening to what you were created to accomplish. It means the gifts, the anointing, and the vision in you are too big to fit the old patterns. It means God is not settling for less in your life, and neither should you. The restless feeling, the dissatisfaction, the subtle urging in your heart, these are not inconveniences. They are divine signals, reminders that your next level is waiting. So if you feel restless, know this: you are not failing. You are outgrowing. You are evolving. You are leaving behind what cannot carry you forward. And that is not loss. That is preparation. That is refinement. That is the secret rhythm of purpose. God removes what no longer aligns so He can reveal what truly belongs. Remember, comfort is not the measure of blessing. Growth is, expansion is, destiny is, and sometimes the very thing that makes you uncomfortable is the very thing that will make you unstoppable. Lean into the discomfort. Trust the unseen. Walk forward even when the familiar doors close. Because when you outgrow old comforts, you're stepping into the spaces where God's glory waits for you. Have you ever noticed how some people can't handle your presence? How some doors close the moment you walk in? How certain friends, colleagues, or even family members start acting differently without you saying a word? It's not personal, it's spiritual. Your influence provokes reaction. When God anoints you, the atmosphere shifts. Your very presence moves the needle in ways others may not understand. Influence is not just about leadership, recognition, or visibility. Influence is authority in action. It's the power to change environments, thoughts, and situations without asking for permission. And here's the catch. When God gives you influence, not everyone is ready for it. Some will celebrate you, yes, but others will resist. They'll feel threatened. They'll try to push back. And often, that resistance comes from the most unexpected places. People you trusted. People you never expected. People who see your rise and feel the insecurity in themselves. Let me be clear. The reactions you face are not signs of failure. They are confirmations of your anointing. Oil always attracts friction. Favor always draws opposition. The higher you climb spiritually, emotionally, and purposefully, more resistance you will meet. That is natural. That is normal. That is confirmation that you are carrying something real, something dangerous to darkness. You see, God doesn't just anoint you for comfort. He anoints you for impact. And impact always provokes reaction. When you start walking in obedience, when you begin to use your gifts, when you refuse to compromise your calling, the atmosphere reacts. Environments resist change. Systems push back. People feel exposed. It's not about you, it's about the power inside you. Your anointing forces the hidden things to surface. It makes others aware of their own limitations, complacency, or compromise. That's why some doors seem closed and some relationships feel tense. It's not rejection, it's revelation. Some of the strongest believers face this same pattern. Joseph provoked jealousy in his brothers simply by walking in dreams God gave him. Daniel provoked rulers by maintaining integrity and wisdom. Esther provoked courts by daring to intervene when her nation needed her. Influence always disrupts. Influence always demands adjustment. And if your calling is real, you will provoke reaction. Sometimes love, sometimes envy, sometimes sometimes misunderstanding. So what do you do when people resist you? You don't retaliate. You don't shrink back. You don't compromise. You hold your ground. You continue walking in purpose. Because resistance is temporary, but the anointing is eternal. Let the noise fade. Let the judgment pass. Let the misunderstandings exist. Your assignment is bigger than opinions, bigger than jealousy, bigger than fear. Your calling is sacred, and nothing can stop what God has ordained in you. This is why discernment becomes essential. You learn to recognize which battles are yours and which are distractions. You learn to step back from people who can't handle your presence. You learn to protect your energy, your vision, and your calling. Influence isn't about everyone accepting you. Influence is about God using you to shift atmospheres, even when it makes others uncomfortable. And discomfort is not a problem. It's a signal. It's a sign that your influence is working. Think about it. The enemy doesn't waste energy on irrelevance. He doesn't bother with what poses no threat. He doesn't confront what can't shift systems, break strongholds, or release generations. The same principle applies to humans. When you carry authority, people react. When you walk in integrity, they respond. When you start to speak truth, they defend their lies. This is not punishment. This is proof that you are moving in power, moving in favor, moving in destiny. And here's the final truth. You don't need everyone to celebrate your rise. You need God to confirm your path. You don't need universal approval. You need divine alignment. Some doors will stay closed. Some voices will stay silent. Some people will withdraw. But that's just clearing space for what God is bringing. Your influence cannot be contained by comfort zones, opinions, or resistance. Influence is meant to provoke, shift, and transform. So the next time you feel misunderstood, the next time someone resists your rise, the next time your path seems lonely, remember, you are not the problem. You are the solution. You are not being opposed without reason. You are being confirmed. Your presence provokes reaction because it carries divine weight. Your influence is dangerous to darkness. And the friction you feel, that is the proof that what God placed in you cannot be ignored. Have you ever felt like you've been waiting forever? Like you've prayed, served, given, and endured, yet nothing seems to change? Like the doors haven't opened, the promotion hasn't come, the breakthrough hasn't arrived? Let me speak to you right now. Your season is coming. God is not slow. He's not forgetting you. He's not punishing you. He's timing you. Timing is everything. Every delay, every not yet, every closed door, every silent response is not rejection. It's preparation. It's refinement. It's God positioning you for exactly what you asked for, even if it doesn't feel like it. Seasons in your life aren't random. They are orchestrated. The waiting is strategic. The wilderness is intentional. The silence is sacred. Think about it. Abraham waited decades for Isaac. Joseph waited years in prison before ruling Egypt. David waited while others ruled before he became king. Jesus waited 30 years in obscurity before his ministry began. Waiting is not wasted time. Waiting is where God does his best work. Waiting builds depth, endurance, humility, and wisdom. Waiting strengthens your roots so your rise can withstand the storms. The enemy wants you to believe your season is over. He wants you to feel forgotten. He wants you to lose hope. But the truth is the exact opposite. Your waiting is proof that God is working. Your delay is a sign that something bigger is coming than you imagined. Your not yet is evidence that God is preparing a launch that will make every struggle, every tear, every sleepless night, and every disappointment worth it. Here's the secret. Seasons shift when preparation meets timing. You can't skip steps without losing strength. You can't rush God's hand without missing the fullness of blessing. You can't demand the breakthrough before God has completed the growth inside you. Your next level, your promotion, your miracle, your breakthrough, it won't arrive until your heart, your character, your faith, and your spirit are ready. And God is using this time to make you ready. You see, there's a difference between delay and denial. Delay is divine. Denial is destructive. Delay teaches patience. Delay teaches trust. Delay strengthens character. Denial destroys momentum. The enemy tries to make every delay feel like denial, but you must know the difference. If God called you, if God promised you, if God placed a vision in your heart, then it is guaranteed. Nothing can cancel what God has ordained. Nothing can cancel your season. Some of you have been in seasons where it feels like everyone else is moving forward while you're stuck. But seasons are never wasted. God is growing your faith, teaching your heart, perfecting your mind, and deepening your vision. He is positioning you in ways you cannot yet see. What looks like waiting is actually arcane. What feels like delay is actually development. Your breakthrough is forming in secret, and when it appears, it will be unmistakable. Here's what you need to remember. Every prayer you've prayed is recorded. Every tear you've shed is collected. Every act of faith, every moment of obedience, every sacrifice, you will be rewarded. Your reward is coming. Your elevation is coming. Your promotion is coming. Your doors are opening. Your favor is releasing. Your breakthrough is unavoidable. So stop comparing your season to anyone else's. Stop questioning why someone else received what you've been waiting for. Stop measuring your timing by someone else's timeline. Your season is unique. Your path is specific. Your breakthrough is designed for you. God is faithful to bring it at the perfect moment, in the perfect way, for the perfect purpose. This is your time to trust, your time to pray, your time to prepare, your time to stay faithful when it's easier to quit, your time to serve when it seems unnoticed, your time to sow when you haven't yet reaped, because when your season comes, it will be undeniable, unstoppable, and unforgettable. Your testimony will inspire generations. Your why will shift atmospheres. Your life will impact the world. So whatever you've been through, whatever you've endured, whatever you've waited for, know this, your season is coming. The doors will open, the favor will flow, the breakthrough will explode. God has been faithful and he will not fail you. Your waiting was never wasted. Your silence was never meaningless. Your struggle was never in vain. Everything was leading to this moment. And your season is now. Stand firm. Stay ready. Keep pressing. Keep believing. Keep serving. Keep sowing. Because your season is coming. And when it does, nothing will ever be the same again. And your anointing is shaking every chain in the spiritual realm. Even when no one notices, even when the world doubts, your presence is changing atmospheres. Every step you take, every prayer you pray, every seed you sow is pushing back darkness and releasing destiny.